Poverty is a prominent reality in Latin America's landscape. According to some recent data, more than half and even up to two-thirds of Latin America's population live below the poverty line. Social scientists have come forward to point out that poverty is a far more complex phenomenon which cannot be solely explained by pure economic criteria. Accordingly, in recent years, academia and international entities have designed indicators which involve factors such as access to justice, access to education, freedom of expression, etc. What this dynamic means to the understanding of poverty in Latin America and other regions as well is central to our discussion this afternoon.
And probably this is the most interesting finding of this work, and is that successfully alleviating poverty is not a matter of right or left-wing trends, but rather responsible government criteria. If you look at the general ranking, you can see how Chile, that is a country that was governed during 2 decades by socialist regimes, by the left, is having the #1 position. Brazil, who has been governed for 9 years now by the left, is having the #2 position. But it is also a group of countries governed by the left, Venezuela, Ecuador, and Bolivia, the ones having the worst positions in the ranking. That is, you can have good results, you can reduce poverty effectively being on the left, but also you can have very bad results being on the left or on the right. What really characterizes the success cases, the success stories, it is not being on the left or the right, as this ranking shows. What really characterizes success stories is following what we at Fundación Ethos call the responsible government model. That is a set of criteria for the design and implementation of public policies, including the respect for democracy, the respect for freedom, for human rights, for the constitutional framework, for the legal system, as well as designing a technically sound social economic policy that would steer competitiveness, policy that would attack effectively insecurity and other issues. That for us is the way to go, as the results show, to apply a group of policies that regardless of right or left-wing trends, would put people as their main priority and would be the opposite as populist trends that unfortunately has been growing in the region in the last few years. Thank you very much.
There is absolutely nothing wrong with giving relief to people. That's absolutely essential. There is absolutely nothing wrong with working with people at the grassroots, one-on-one, helping them to develop themselves. That's absolutely essential, and groups like Oxfam and others do it all the time. And I've had the privilege, and Andrew's had the privilege of doing that for a number of years. That's essential. But it's also important to give policymakers the tools that they can actually make policies that will implement, that they can implement then policies which will impact poverty. And unless we give them those tools, and it wasn't possible to do perhaps in the past because we didn't have the methodologies, we didn't have the capacity to do it, but there is this tool. And there are others that are coming up. But I would, in terms of what Mauricio and I are talking about, it seems to me that I wish that there were agreement in Latin America on the left-hand side of your chart. I wish Latin American governments were implementing policy, measures that included all those social dimensions, so that then we could start dealing with other dimensions of poverty, which might be political, might be things like shame and humiliation, empowerment and stuff, which we're also trying to work on.
What distinguishes these countries is whether they have open access orders with strong institutions or closed access orders, in other words, patrimonial systems. What distinguish the countries in Latin America that are doing the worst they are basically patrimonial system. What is a patrimonial system? It is where the logic of the society is not based on the merit system or the rule of law or a functioning judicial system. It is based on political bosses. That is a discriminatory term, political bosses. Let's just say powerful political figures who cement relationships between their followers and themselves by giving out patronage jobs, by giving them favors through the tax system, and the most developed patrimonial system was developed by Juan Perón in Argentina, and it is the basis of the entire Argentine political system, which is why Argentina, which had the same level of wealth in 1940 as Canada, now is not the same level of wealth as Canada. Why is that? Because Juan Perón built a political machine based on political favors.